Mr. Yahim, quick question for you. This kind of doubles back to the U.S. financial system's dominance. What's your view in terms of stable coins really being an additive towards not just U.S. market dominance, but also U.S. dollar dominance on the world stage?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Congressman. There's a wide variety of use cases that have been proven out, some that have not yet been proven out. It's very clear that stable coins are going to improve efficiency in cross-border remittance, and I think we've heard that from the panel today.
Is why can't I wire somebody money at 6 p.m. Eastern time? Can we get to a 24/7 scenario where wires are cleared every day, all day? I think that would be very, very helpful to businesses all over the country.
So that's coming. It's just coming slowly here. We have that at FedNow. We'll get in touch with you about FedNow. We provide that service between two banks, and others want to provide it too. But yes, we do kind of lag a lot of other countries in that, and it is time for that to happen.
So I know I don't want to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot, FedNow was very familiar with it, but it was a little bit late in coming. Can we get a commitment to do that this year so that by the end of this calendar year, businesses can transact 24/7 and settle payments?
Well, I think they can do that now I believe they can do it now on FedNow, and they can also do it on the RTP system as well. So I think it's available.
I really think defunding this type of oversight is just begging for another financial crisis, and it's a complete giveaway to many of these big tech companies who increasingly want to become a bank.
Public servant who cares about this country. We are at an unprecedented moment. Our financial systems are facing huge risks from the economic chaos of President Trump and his co-president, Elon Musk. From on-again, off-again tariffs to on-again, off-again layoffs for tens of thousands of government workers, to on-again, off-again cuts in domestic grain purchases, to on-again, off-again support for medical research. Now, co-president Musk and his OMB director have frozen all work at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. There are now 0 cops overseeing the $18 trillion consumer lending market. 0 cops. Investigations into illegal foreclosures and auto repossessions canceled. Exams of giant credit card issuers to weed out unlawful junk fees canceled. Probes of illegal debt collection practices canceled. Rules to save people billions of dollars canceled. If Musk and his OMB director succeed in killing the CFPB, it's like putting a sign on every checking account, every credit card, every mortgage application, and every car loan. Cops have been fired. Let the scams begin. Musk and his Doge crew are also rooting through the Treasury's most important payment systems, the financial plumbing that ensures that billions of payments go through, from Social Security checks to grants for community health centers. No one has verified how they got this access or what they are doing with it. No one has checked whether Americans' financial data has been copied or sold for the personal profit of Mr. Musk. Instead, we've had a series of misleading and conflicting statements by Treasury Secretary Bessent. After receiving public blowback, it appears that Secretary Bessent is now trying to throw the Federal Reserve under the bus. Secretary Bessent claims that Doge can't meddle with the Treasury's payment systems because ultimately the Fed is in control. Now, I'm not sure whether Secretary Bessent doesn't understand how the system works or if he's just trying to shift the blame to you. But I know he is wrong. The Fed simply executes the transactions that Treasury instructs. If Elon and his hackers, for example, initiate instructions to choke off payments to their enemies, or if they issue instructions to shut down payment for teachers' aides for kids with special needs, the Fed may have no way of knowing that the instructions were manipulated, and the Fed may have no legal method to override them. Chair Powell If the CFPB isn't on the job right now, then who is administering JP Morgan or Wells Fargo's consumer compliance exams to ensure that they are following the law?
Senator, I believe that, and you would know, that Dodd-Frank moved all authority for examinations in the consumer space to the CFPB. We still have some jurisdiction.
We'll talk about that in a sec. But the answer to my question, please. If the CFPB is not there examining these giant banks to make sure they are following the laws on not cheating consumers, who is doing that job?
I can say no other federal regulator.
No one, in other words. So thanks to co-president Musk and CFPB acting director Vogt, Wall Street banks no longer have to show the bank examiners that they're not illegally opening accounts people didn't ask for, like happened with Wells Fargo, or charging illegal junk fees like the Bank of America did.
And his hacksters' dangerous attempts to access Americans' private data and the Treasury Department's systems that control $6 trillion in annual payments to millions of American citizens, including Social Security, Medicare, and tax refunds. Quickly, yes or no, has Elon Musk or members of his team, to your knowledge, attempted to access the Fed's protected data and systems? Yes or no?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Provide any transparency for the American people.
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately.
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area. If we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. We had Jerome Powell in the house. And anybody who watched his testimony, you're asking what is going on. Remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. They were busy asking about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which Jerome Powell has nothing to do with. It's called the Hegelian dialectic. Just setting up distraction. They're more worried about Elon Musk. And you can't make this stuff up. The co-president. Yes, guys, you heard that correct. They should have been pressing Jerome Powell on these tariffs. Yes, he doesn't have anything to do with tariffs, but if it causes more inflation, what is he going to do? Is he going to sit still or start cutting rates? We didn't hear any of that. Nothing about the real economy. And guess what? These politicians are paid and bought for. And don't get me wrong, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is very important. Has definitely sued for billions and won. But like I told you in my book, in my NWO book, I told you your corporations are going to be your new government. And the President of the United States works for the banks. And I told you that Trump was going to cut government spending way before Elon Musk was introduced. They're just using him as the scapegoat. We know the reserve lending is out the window. All this surplus is out the window. All this money printing is out the window. We have to go to a level playing field, and that's cutting spending, devaluing the dollar, and bringing in these digital currencies, but it's going to be real-time settlement, and they need plenty of liquidity. And that's the reason why these small and medium-sized banks are not going to make it, and these small and medium-sized businesses are not going to make it unless they're set up for the fourth industrial revolution. where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
That candidate Trump did not run on implementing Project 2025. In fact, when he was asked on the campaign trail about Project 2025, he said, I don't know anything about that. Who are those people? And yet he early on and quickly installed a key architect of Project 2025, Russ Vought, as the head of the Office of Management and Budget, which we know is the command and control center for the budget overseeing all federal agencies. And that's what Elon Musk is doing now. He's implementing Project 2025, the same Project 2025 that candidate Trump said he knew nothing about. And he said that because he knew it was unpopular. He knew it would be unpopular to take the financial cop off the beat. And I want to start by talking about what's happening over at CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, because that is the cop on the beat to go after fraudsters and scammers who cheat Americans out of their hard-earned money. And they have returned billions of dollars to our constituents, to the consumers who have been victims of these scams. And in doing so, they've earned some powerful enemies who want to shut them down. And Elon Musk is doing that dirty work on behalf of those fraudsters.
The Federal Reserve remains squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. Labor market conditions have cooled from their formerly overheated state and remain solid. Inflation has moved much closer to our 2% longer-run goal, though it remains somewhat elevated. We are attentive to the risks on both sides of our mandate. I will review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. GDP rose 2.5% in 2024, bolstered by resilient consumer spending. Investment in equipment and intangibles appears to have declined in the fourth quarter, but was solid for the year overall. Following weakness in the middle of last year, activity in the housing sector seems to have stabilized. In the labor market, conditions remain solid and appear to have stabilized. Payroll job gains averaged 189,000 per month over the past 4 months. Following earlier increases, the unemployment rate has been steady now since the middle of last year, and at 4% in January remains low. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year, and the jobs-to-workers gap has narrowed. Overall, a wide set of indicators suggests that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures. The strong labor market conditions in recent years have helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups. Inflation has eased significantly over the past 2 years, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-term goal. PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in December, and excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. Since last September, the FOMC lowered the policy rate by a full percentage point from its peak, after having maintained the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5% for 14 months. That recalibration of our policy stance was appropriate in light of the progress on inflation and the cooling in the labor market. Meanwhile, we've continued to reduce our securities holdings. With our policy stance now significantly less restrictive than it had been, and the economy remaining strong, we do not need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance. We know that reducing policy restraint too fast or too much could hinder progress on inflation. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too slowly or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering the extent and timing of additional adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the FOMC will assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. As the economy evolves, we will adjust our policy stance in a manner that best promotes our maximum employment and price stability goals. If the economy remains strong and inflation does not continue to move sustainably toward 2%, we can maintain policy restraint for longer. If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly or inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we can ease policy accordingly. We are attentive to the risks on both sides of our dual mandate, and policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties that we face. This year, we are conducting the second periodic review of our monetary policy strategy, tools, and communications, the framework used to pursue our congressionally